The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. At that time, Jesus went to the Mount of Olives. Early in the morning, he came again to the temple, and all the people came to him, and he sat down and he taught them. The scribes and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in adultery. And placing her in their midst, they said to him, "Teacher, this woman has been caught in the act of adultery. Now in the law, Moses commanded us to stone her. What do you say about her?" This they said to test him, that they may have some charge to bring against him. Jesus bent down and wrote with his finger on the ground. And as they continued to ask him, he stood up and he said to them, "Let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her." And once again he bent down and wrote with his finger on the ground. But when they heard what he said, they went away, one by one, beginning with the eldest. And Jesus was left alone with the woman standing before him. Jesus looked up and said to her, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" She said, "No one, Lord." And Jesus said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go and do not sin again." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise be to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Lead questions for today. Question number 1. What is the relationship, if any, between the last Sunday's gospel on the prodigal son and today's gospel on the woman caught in adultery? What is the relationship, if any? 2. What are the treasures that St. Paul now refers to as rubbish when compared to the glory of knowing Jesus Christ? 3. Identify the outstanding qualities that made Paul such a powerful witness of Christ. What are the outstanding qualities? 4. What has changed so far, and what more will change in your Christian life and practice as we progress in this Lenten season, as we progress in the Jubilee Year of Mercy? What is it that has changed in your Christian life? What more will change? Yes, Gabriela.
Good morning, Father.
Good morning.
I would like to attempt question 1.
Yes.
There is a relationship, and the relationship between last Sunday's gospel and today's gospel is that none of them was condemned. They were both given a second chance.
The two people who were given a second chance, the prodigal son and the woman got caught in adultery. By who?
By Jesus.
The world condemned them now. The senior brother of the other guy condemned. The scribes and Pharisees condemned this one. So you have to emphasize who?
Jesus.
Jesus did not condemn them.
He
Jesus
showed his mercy.
Good. Mercy. Give her a round of applause. Yes. Yeah, can I?
Morning, Father.
Good morning.
I want to answer question 2.
Yes.
The treasures that St. Paul now refers to as rubbish when compared to the glory of knowing Christ Jesus are the things of this world, which are the things that people are most addicted to.
The things that people are most addicted to are the things that he considers as rubbish. Things like
money,
and like
houses, cars, and
power and money to buy car, G-Wagon, like no bet. Give her a round of applause. Okay, where you mean? Paul now considers them rubbish, right?
Good morning, Father.
Good morning.
I want to add to question 1.
Add to it, yes.
There is a relationship. The relationship between the prodigal son and the woman caught with adultery is that they were both sinners, but they came back to God.
They were both sinners that were saved. Give her a round of applause. Yes. Yes, Louis.
Good morning, Father. Good morning, everybody. I want to attempt number 3. From the second reading, we can see that Paul had a very strong faith in Christ. But I think an outstanding quality that made Paul such a powerful witness is that before he was converted, he obviously was very dedicated to his former life. Dedication. Yes, dedication. He was very fierce, according to in his dealings. So when God converted him, I think that's one of the qualities that make faith. Maybe one more.
Yes, Helen.
What has changed in my life? Father, patience. I think I was a lot very impatient with people who were supposed to do the right things but would do the wrong things. People who did not strive for perfection. I was a very impatient woman. And I find that with this year of mercy, I try to put myself in the shoes of people to understand why they did what they did the way they did it. And then, I try to reason with them.
So we shall need to raise a committee to go to Bayes University to find out.
No.
Okay, next.
Father, also, I'm not as compassionate as I would love to be. And an example is that one of the girls in my house was sick. And, I gave all the medicines. I gave them money, they were treated, but I never hugged them.
Okay.
Yes.
So something was remaining for the healing to take place.
For the healing, yes.
Aha.
And I knew that yesterday, and I promised I was going to do it.
And you still didn't do it?
I still didn't do it.
So what are you going to do after this mass?
I will pray, and when I get home, I'm going to hug them.
Yeah. Okay, give her a round of applause. Okay, let's move on now. Mercy is a gift. Mercy is a gift. This is a well-known story of the time of Napoleon Bonaparte, the French emperor, Napoleon Bonaparte. A young soldier deserted Napoleon's army. Some of you know about forceful conscription into the army at wars. The emperors conscripted people forcefully. It's called drafting, right? Yeah. And a young guy who didn't want to be a soldier, he ran away. He deserted the army and he was caught. And when you are caught, if you desert the army, when you are caught, what is the punishment? Death. The punishment for desertion was death. The young soldier's mother came and knelt before Napoleon and pleaded to have mercy and spare her son's life. Napoleon told her that on account of the gravity of the offense, her son did not deserve mercy. Your son does not deserve mercy because nobody does this in my army and lives. She responded. Can you read it together? I know he doesn't deserve mercy. It wouldn't be mercy if he deserved it. Again, I know he doesn't deserve mercy. It wouldn't be mercy if he deserved it. The poor old woman had a lesson to teach Napoleon. You see, no one can be so big or know so much that he has nothing to learn. The poor woman taught Napoleon a lesson. If he deserved it, I won't be asking for mercy. I will be asking for justice. Justice is what we deserve. Mercy is what we don't deserve. Everyone deserves true justice. Justice means give each person his or her due. That's distributive justice. Give to each his or her due. Mercy, on the other hand, is a share gift. Share gift. Mercy is the gracious disposition by which the wronged person unilaterally, and take note of that word, unilateral, meaning that the person may not even beg for mercy, unilaterally cancels out all the wrongs and transgressions of the offender. That is mercy. Mercy does not suggest that the people who are guilty are not guilty, does it? Does not suggest that an offense didn't take place, does it? Mercy does not suggest that the guilty are not guilty. It recognizes the guilt, but does not demand satisfaction for the wrong. The kind of satisfaction people demand, say, look, this person offended me unless he goes to jail before I am satisfied. When he rots for 10 years in jail, I will be satisfied. As if it increases the quality of your life when another person is dead or is rotting in jail. It doesn't increase the quality of your life, does it? That another person is rotting in jail, does it increase the quality of your life? But there is the human instinct that he must rot in jail. Now, mercy is to recognize that the person has sinned, the person is guilty, but not to demand such satisfaction. The Mosaic law prescribes death by stoning. It was very clear in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 22 to 24, and Leviticus chapter 20, verse 10. It was very clear when a person is caught committing adultery, the punishment is clear. Not only kill the person, it tells you how. By stoning. The Pharisees and scribes who brought the woman to Jesus knew the law very well, but they wanted to use it. They wanted to use the occasion to trap Jesus. Why? Because Jesus had been saying all kinds of strange things, all kinds of outrageous things, talking about mercy, talking about forgiveness. If somebody slaps you on one cheek, turn the other cheek. What kind of nonsense? And they found that, look, since this thing is a clear instruction from Moses. Now, let's hear what he say. Is he going to disobey Moses? I still remember this occasion, talking about positive law, clear dictate of the law versus mercy. I remember some 20 years ago, I was preaching in Church of the Assumption in Falomo, Lagos, and I spoke about this, and then I linked it to capital punishment and the need to remove capital punishment from our statute books. And I spoke about public execution of criminals, of armed robbers, and how terrible it is, and why a Christian should have no hand in it. And I remember one very famous justice of the Federation, of the Supreme Court at that time, came to me after and said, Father, but it is the law. Father, it is the law. And I said, who made the law? I said, human beings put the law in place. Human beings can change the law. I said, with what I am saying, we can put pressure on Nigeria Judicial Council and others and the legislators and change. By then it was military rule. I said, we can change the law. So to just say it is the law is not good enough if that law is oppressive. Right? to just say it is the law. Or yesterday, some people were of the opinion, as we were discussing this issue of women being made to scrape their hair when your husband dies. Some people were of the opinion that, well, what if the culture, that is how it is in the culture, or the person comes to like it? I said the person doesn't like it. The person is made to like it. Because the person is eventually made comfortable with it. You can be part of a structure of evil, and after some time, that woman herself may agree that since I have been caught in adultery, I agree, my punishment should be death, or you kill me. I agree. That the woman who says, I scrape my hair because my husband has died, has come to accept an unjust structure. And after all, I said, the people who scrape the hair in the villages are women, not men. But over centuries, they have come to accept the structure, the unjust structure, and they are now calling for it for themselves. Which is why some women will willfully do it without anybody telling them to do it. You can, after some time, come to accept an unjust structure. And they are called structures of sin. Pope John Paul II spoke about individual sin and structures of sin. Evil structures. So the sin is no longer one person committing sin. It is the whole societal structure that is committing the sin. And we need to be challenging not only individual sin, but also structures of sin. So a lot of things we grow up with, and we grow up to accept, a lot of them are not good. And Christians must be constantly challenging these things. Christians must put the Christian prism in their eyes to look at the various practices in our culture and say, this is not dignifying enough to the human being. Even when the person wants it, we say, no. That's not dignifying. That doesn't present the man and the woman as equal. See, if the man doesn't go around barefoot or shave his hair or do some other crazy thing when the wife dies, why should this one be done when the man dies? It shows it is a structure that does not recognize the equality of man and woman. Now, that is it. In the case we are dealing with, they brought the woman. Did they bring any man? No. As part of the structure of sin. Oh, was he committing adultery with herself? So they brought the woman to Jesus to test Jesus. How was he going to react? They said, Master, this woman was caught in the very act of adultery. According to the law of Moses, such a woman is to be stoned to death. What do you say? And then they began to say, okay, let us wait and see. Let us wait and see. Must be stamping their feet. Seeing that they had debased the woman, seeing the extent to which they had humiliated the woman, I imagine that they would have brought the woman naked to Jesus. Seeing the way they had debased her, Jesus turns away, I believe, in disgust. He neither looked at the woman nor at them. He simply wrote on the ground. That is very significant. He ignored them and wrote on the ground. But then they insisted. When they insisted, pestering him, what do you say? You must talk. What do you say? He raised his eyes and said, if anyone here there is who has not sinned, let him be the one to throw the first stone. And he went back to the ground and was writing. A lot has been written as to what was Jesus writing. And we will never know what he was writing. Some people even think that he was writing he was listing their sins. And that when they saw what he was writing, one by one, on reflecting over his words, they must have looked at Jesus. They must have looked at the woman. They must have looked at one another, and they must have looked at the stones they were carrying in their hands, and then dropped the stones. Suddenly it would have dawned on them what he meant, and one by one, they disappeared as quickly as possible. When next Jesus raised his eyes after writing maybe a page on the ground, he saw the woman standing there alone. He asked, "Woman, where then they? Where then they? Has no one condemned you?" She answered in exasperation, No one, sir. They don't go. They don't go. No one, sir. And Jesus said, "Neither do I condemn you." Did he just say, "Go and continue adultery"? So there is still a clause, isn't it? There is still a clause. Go and sin no more. Jesus, in this way, forgives her, rehabilitates her, restores her God-given dignity, frees her from being an object of religious controversy, which is what they were making her, relates with her as a person. You see, we keep saying some things, but we don't always mean what we are saying. God hates sin, but loves the sinner. Right? God hates sin, but he loves the sinner. So she remained the beloved of God. And Jesus recognized that. Jesus recognized that dignity, God-given dignity, restores it to her. The Pharisees and scribes were merciless and brutal with the law. You see, human beings do under any legal dispensation, human beings do have some prerogative, don't they? Judges have some prerogative. Lawyers have some prerogative. And that is why you can use the law and turn it around. Judges are, the hands of judges are not always tied. They have some prerogative. There is maximum sentence. There is minimum sentence. In between, there is a lot that they can do, right? But the Pharisees wanted to apply the law to the letter. Maximum sentence. They wanted to take her life because for them, she was a lost cause. She was a lost cause. You know, the way we react in the case of people who are caught, you know, they say the 11th commandment, don't get caught, isn't it? The ones who are caught. Will this woman and whoever was her partner be the only ones committing adultery at the time? But she was the one caught. But you see, when somebody is caught among us, the way we react is as if temporarily we suffer amnesia. We forget that we have committed sin ourselves. Yesterday, I was reading something that was rather distressing. One of the experts on DNA in Lagos says that he thinks that 40% of firstborns don't belong to the person who says he's their father. And he used himself as an example. Oh, none of you read it. You read it. He used himself as an example. That what took him to become a professional in DNA is that he had this one-off fling with a girlfriend in Germany who came from England to come and meet her. And then he had just lost his wife. And then they announced 9 months after or whatever, announced to him that there was a set of twins for him. And he said, it's not yet 1 year since his wife died. And that it will be terrible with his in-laws and others who knew them to say that he has already had children have already come, not only 1, 2. So anyway, he said they should wait. When it is 1 year, after 1 year anniversary, he will come to England and whatever. Anyway, he went after the 1 year anniversary of his wife. And then they did naming ceremony, did everything. Then it was now time to marry the woman. And when he wanted to marry the woman now, He now told himself, they have bought everything for the wedding. He has prepared his house and her room. Ask her what color the room should be painted, everything. Then he said, wait, before you move in, make we go do DNA, just to confirm. Just,